Whoa, it's been a while. But let's not waste time. Welcome to my Dream MMO, where I talk about what would be in my Dream MMO. Not your Dream MMO, so shut it. In my last video I talked about doing away with levels and essentially making everyone max level from the start. This was bad phrasing on my part because by putting it that way, many people assumed that meant there would be no character progression at all because you were quote-unquote maxed out. That's not the case. Hence, I'm going to talk about character progression in just a second, because to understand how progression affects your character, you need to understand what I meant in the last video. To explain it a bit more simply, my idea is that when you start the game as a brand new player, you can immediately do whatever you want to. You could log in and immediately go on a raid with a bunch of people who've been playing forever, go explore, start crafting, again, whatever you want. That's my idea. But that doesn't mean there won't be character progression. In most MMOs today, character progression is class and level based. I honestly have nothing against this system. It is a rewarding and simple way to judge how your character is growing in power. However, I feel like this system goes against three of my core ideas for my Dream MMO. 1. Possibly the most important part of being able to do what you want right from the start is that when you group up with players who've been playing for longer than you, your character will have to be somewhat effective and useful to the group. For some reason, most level-based systems create huge gaps in power between low-level characters and high-level characters, which immediately fragments the player base. This could be fixed to maintain the level system, of course, but I think reason number 2 is the other reason I don't really feel like this could go into my Dream MMO. 2. A level-based system almost requires the world to be segmented based on level. Area A is this level to this level, Area B is this level to this level, and so on. I want my world to be a bit more cohesive. While this could be fixed too by adjusting your level to whatever area you're in, kind of like Guild Wars 2, I just don't feel that's the right answer. And the third point, I don't have anything against set classes either. I do love me some healing, but I like flexibility even more. So to accomplish this, I'm suggesting a type of classless skill-based progression. Here's how my ideas work, and heads up, this is probably going to sound really convoluted. And please note, I still don't have all the ideas worked out fully, this is just an idea. So if something doesn't sound like it'll work, it's probably because I haven't figured it out yet. Okay, here's how it works. Skills will raise as you do the corresponding action. So if you swing a sword, your sword skill will raise. If you cast a spell, your spell casting will raise. That sounds pretty easy, right? Well, this is where it's gonna start sounding convoluted. But I have reasons, so hear me out, and remember this is just an idea, I don't have everything worked out, so don't jump to conclusions. Okay, so let's say you equip a one-handed longsword and start swinging away. You're using melee, or melee, or whatever, which is a major skill set under the combat tree. You then break down melee into several subsections. You'll have things like swordplay, brawling, axe wielding, and some others that I haven't figured out. Since you're using a longsword, we'll then look at swordplay, which can actually be broken down further into longswords, broadswords, curved swords, piercing weapons. The list could probably go on. So as you use your longsword, you'll be raising 3 skills at one time: melee, swordplay, and longsword. The more specialized the skill, the longer it takes to raise up. Special attacks and abilities will be given when hitting certain ranks in each skill. So a generic strong blow may be given when hitting a certain point in the melee skill, while a more powerful skill like, say, Cyclone Slash would be given when hitting a certain point in the longsword skill. So the longer you use your longsword, the more powerful you'll become at using a longsword. All 3 of these skills that you're raising provide bonuses to your damage, accuracy, etc. Okay, but wait. Say you just so happen to find a really powerful two-handed broadsword that you really want to use. Well, I'm not a swordsman in real life, so I'm gonna make a different analogy here. Swinging a baseball bat and swinging a ping pong paddle are not the same. Sure, a lot of the same skills are used, but there's a difference. I assume the same could be said for fighting with a one-handed longsword and a two-handed broadsword. So you're an amazing longswordsman who starts using a broadsword. Well, you're gonna get bonuses from using that broadsword from your melee and swordplay abilities. And you will also have built up some progress in broadsword skill from using a longsword, but you're not going to be an expert at it because it's a different kind of sword. And the more you use the broadsword and gain ability in that area, your longsword skill will begin to decrease. Now, it will never fully go away because you never forget how to ride a bike, or some analogy like that. And your abilities that you've learned from longsword will never go away, but they will decrease in damage, accuracy, etc. Also, skills won't decrease until you start getting too many skills close to max. The reason I decided to have skills degrade is to help keep balance. While I think you should be able to do whatever you want, I don't think you should be able to be all-powerful. You can be a master of a few things, but not everything at once. I do also think you should be able to lock certain skills to stop them from degrading. So you could lock your longsword skill and continue to use that broadsword, but that broadsword skill may not raise depending on what other skills you have and which ones you have locked. Now say you wanted to lose the sword and move over to being an archer who uses a longbow. Okay, the same rules apply, except now you're in an entirely different tree. So as you use your longbow, your ranged tree archery subset, and longbow skill will all increase. Simultaneously, your melee, swordplay, and any specialized skills will decrease. Again, you never forget the moves that you've learned in the melee tree, they'll just begin to decrease in power the lower their skill goes. The same thing will apply to the magic tree. Also, the trees can somewhat interact with each other. Let's take a look at crafting, which will be its own tree. So let's say you're a blacksmith. Using your smith hammer will also raise your hammer wielding ability in the combat tree. Or as a lumberjack, cutting down a forest with your axe will raise your axe wielding skill. So technically, your character could never fight a battle in their life, yet be an extremely strong fighter because of the crafting profession you chose. Now what about armor? You can wear whatever armor you want in the game. Cloth, leather, chain, plate, I don't care. But the heavier the armor you wear, you'll receive penalties to your attack speed, movement speed, dodge, etc. Now the longer you use whatever armor you're wearing, the penalties you receive will decrease. The penalties will never fully go away, but they will lessen as your proficiency with a certain armor type increases. If you decide to switch armor types, you're going to have to build up a new armor proficiency, causing your previous ones to decrease. I have toyed with the idea of when you use heavy armor and moving to light armor, it increases your speed and your strength and stuff, but I haven't fully worked that out yet, and there's a balance there that I need to go over that I'm just not even going to touch right now. Man, this is getting long. Let's try to wrap this up. Okay, so let's say you want to fill a tankish role. You're going to want more health, right? Well, go get hit by some monsters. This will raise your endurance. Say you're a mage and you want more mana for casting spells. Start casting spells. Or you can find books to read in-game, which will raise your intellect. But wait, didn't you say when new players join the game they should be able to do whatever they want? Doesn't this mean they're going to have to raise skills to do what they want? No. When a player joins the game, they can choose to have a pre-made path, or they can choose a custom one. A pre-made path is going to be something like heavy armor tank, light armor tank, dual sword wielding DPS, magic healer, mage DPS. Picking one of these will slightly alter their skills and gear to be a bit more efficient in that area when they start off. So that way that player can immediately jump in and begin helping out a group. If you choose a custom build, you can do whatever you want. Again, this will all have a balance to it that I haven't quite figured out yet, but it'll be there. So I think that covers it. Probably not. Again, this is all just a work in progress and I don't have all the answers, and I'm sure you have questions, so if you want to leave me a question in the comments, I'll try to answer it if I can find an answer. Yeah. Okay, bye.